of my most inspired moments, especially during the last year, and especially just over the course that I've been involved in the yoga world, some of the most inspired moments of myself have been from the role of the student. So that's something I can really recommend for everyone, is that don't think that you need to take, it's not always about taking your message online. Sometimes it's about creating a space as the student and as the inspired student to lift up teachers or to platform other voices, or things that you're inspired about can inspire other people. So if you're thinking about, oh, I really want to study Sanskrit, and then you can find a group of people to do that. Or if you're thinking about, I want to learn, I really want to learn how to incorporate social justice in my teaching, well, you can reach out to leaders in the field of, yoga and social justice, and invite them to do a chat on your Instagram, or host them for a workshop or something like that. So these are ways that I think yoga teachers kind of miss out on the aspect of building community, especially in the online space. So that's kind of like the first thing that I think is really, really, really important. The second thing is that I think there's an element of that now that there's so many people that are comfortable practicing online, that I feel like this will always be a component going forward, that there has been a shift. And that it's not going to just immediately go back to, okay, everybody's just going to go into a packed, sweaty yoga room. I think that this is going to leave an indelible imprint on the way that we interact with group fitness classes and yoga classes and this sort of thing. So I almost feel like the hardest space to teach is the hybrid space. And the hybrid space is when you're not only online. So like right now I'm talking to each of you online, which means I can be really close to the computer and I can see all of you, and I can set up my microphone and my earphones so that I'm just perfect. Like I'm set up for the online experience. But if we have a hybrid class, then there would also be, 20 students or however many students around that I would also be interacting with. And so that's the space that I think is actually the next pioneering space that's going to be out there once we start to reopen 1 year, 2 years from now. That virtual element is still going to be there for a number of reasons. Like, first of all, there are going to be people who, again, they're going to have this indelible imprint of, that they just don't feel comfortable in group fitness classes to the same way that they did before. Also, the financial burden is much higher for in-person classes, so that there are people that are just going to always want to just choose the online option, especially for intensives and trainings where, in the past they would have needed to like travel over to a new place, get, an apartment for a month, or move to a new city for 2 months or 3 months to do a course. Whereas if they join remotely, they can join, even if the course is the same cost, the cost of the whole experience will be much, much less. So economically, it'll just be a much more viable option for many, many people going forward. And then just time-wise, some people will think, okay, well, I can get the Zoom class in, which means I don't need to commute to the yoga studio, commute back home, change, put on my clothes and get to work. I'll just do it at home, change. And if I have to sign out early, I can just turn my video off, Whereas, when you leave a yoga class in person, it's a production. The yoga teacher, are you okay? Like, everything all right with you? And you're like, I need to get to work. And they're like, oh, well, so you have this like conversation. And Zoom, you just turn your video off and then you're gone. And it's like, not that there's less accountability, but there are people out there that will just be like, that's going to fit better with my schedule. I have half an hour and I can make it to some class today. So as the yoga teacher, that's the space that I found to be the hardest. And myself, as well as bringing teachers onto OmStars for any hybrid events, the hybrid space is the hardest when you're trying to think about, okay, so this teaching interaction, if we want a replay, for example, of what the teaching interaction is going to be, whether it's a class or a training or